I wonder if they actually even might be forced to go for a position 4 that can help initiate, just because of the offlane pool that's heavily diminished in a moment with all the bans that we've had so far. But for NGX picking up the Nyx Assassin, I mean, an incredible hero to provide vision and help with your starting of fights, I suppose.
Templar Assassin.
I mean, do you just go full Deathball Beastmaster? No, they're going to go Brewmaster. As soon as I see Bane Nyx, I'm like, you have no push. You have no D push at all. Like, if SMG were coming up against this draft, they would be licking their lips. They would be snap picking Lycan, Beastmaster, Broodmother, these sorts of heroes. Remaining. But Ragdoll, they're still going for these heroes that are, you know, kind of hard to kill, right? The Brewmaster, very hard to kill as long as you can get that exorcism off. Death Prophet, very hard to kill. Templar Assassin, very hard to kill, and they don't have great ways to get through the refraction outside of the torrent. And that's basically it right now.
And it's nice because Ragdoll now have an overwhelming amount of objective taking with the Exorcism and the Templar Assassin. You've got a lot of team fight as well now with the Brewmaster getting picked up. So do you feel like NGX have to go down a specific route to kind of fill the voids that they have at the moment?
Radiant team back.
It's a little rough, right? Like, they're going to go the Queen of Pain against the TA. I don't hate it, but you can then just throw the TA into the safe lane and it's still totally fine against the Nyx Assassin. Like, yeah, you've got a stun, but you don't have any sustained kill threat. It's going to be Mizu's hero last. Maybe they might be setting up for something like a Darkseer to pair together with this Nyx Assassin. Again, it's not burst damage, but if the game drags late, which we know Nigma.SEA are not afraid to do, you just suddenly have essentially a couple of extra heroes with the use of the normal punch and that vac wall. So I'm keen to see if that's how they want to do it. But again, I do feel like they are still lacking a little bit of damage here on Nigma.SEA. The Queen of Pain helps, and I suppose the Nyx does as well, but you just got to make sure that you're positioned correctly, because you might be able to kill one Ragdoll hero, but the rest is a bit of a challenge in my eyes.
So either team have a lot of flexibility at the moment heading into the last phases. We're kind of seeing with these bans come out. Ragdoll getting rid of the Medusa just in case maybe the Conquer or the Quap is flexed to the 3, and then they're still looking for the In Your Dream hero. And then for Ragdoll, you know, the Lina was banned out for them as well. So maybe thinking that this TA could be played in the safe lane, like you were saying, to dodge the Queen of Pain matchup. How do we really feel like? What is the ideal pick here to swap up the lanes and put a lot of priority on this last pick for Ragdoll?
I still think it's most likely to be their mid hero, although it's a really good Lina ban coming through from Nigma.SEA. We see time and time again that it just seems to body this Queen of Pain, and we do see the Darkseer come out for Ragdoll. For the laning stage, again, it's an issue that I've had for quite a few teams in that there's no real easy way to get it onto the backline and lock down a few of these heroes. So even if I'm a sniper enjoyer, and I wouldn't hate to see Ragdoll pick it up, because you'll be able to trade fairly well with the Queen of Pain. You don't have any way to immediately jump onto him, onto the backlines. The Nyx Assassin sure can help to set up for it, but you know, it enables that tower push even further as well. So I wouldn't hate to see a sniper, especially with all the space, and it's like a wall that you need to go through with this Death Prophet and the Brewmaster, and it just allows someone like a sniper to sit back and do whatever the hell he wants.
Does it feel a little bit greedy though, knowing you've got a Death Prophet 5, a Brew that's very cooldown reliant, a TA that wants to be farming for the first 15 minutes or so?
Potentially, but I feel like the kill threat isn't quite there super early on, at least in my opinion. Now, you've got, of course, great setups for combos with the Conquer, Bane, and Nyx Assassin, but I feel like you can get away with it, and Ragdoll are going to be able to, you know, do a little bit of that ghost push style, of course, with a Death Prophet. Menu Ping, he plays a little bit more of that aggressive style, even from the position 5. Typically, it's a position 4, or someone like a Weaver. Death Prophet just plants himself in the most suicidal lane, let's call it, at 10 minutes or so, and then looks to punish. But they're just going to go the puck a little odd, to be honest, into the Nyx Assassin. Yeah. But, you know, against the Quap, it's a skill-based matchup, in my opinion. You know, you go a lot more into the Scream of Pain as opposed to the Shadow Strike here if you're playing the Quap. But it does provide you a lot of ways to just hold people in place and really empower that exorcism to allow Menu Ping to be that fourth core, essentially, even from the support role.
Yeah, and you take a look, you can't counterpick the puck with the Dragon Knight or the Templar Assassin now, which are two of the best matchups, not only in the lane, but as the game goes on. So regardless, whatever matchup Puck's into, he should have a pretty good time. And we might see this Queen of Pain then flex into the off lane where you've got a Quap and a Nyx Assassin lane to run against a Templar Assassin and Death Prophet. But wow, this is a hero we haven't seen too often, but it does really fit the playstyle, it feels like, of Nigma.SEA. This late game team fighting execution where you feel like you are just a unkillable beast with how you're able to just take over games, and Mizu's always been one of those heroes, or one of those players I should say, on the Darkseer, the Tide, the Mars, whatever it be, these heroes that have so much impact in the late game, and Doom's definitely one of them.
Yeah, it gives you that lockdown that I felt that they were needing. They still don't have, outside of the X marks, the way to really hold someone in place and look to burst them down, but certainly the Doom does provide, as long as you get the right pickoffs, and that's what the Nyx Assassin is going to need to do throughout this game. So I think this game is pretty damn heavy on the Nigma.SEA off lane. It's going to be Mizu and Jokam trying to make it work.
Well, how are we feeling about this game one here? Ragdoll and Nigma.SEA. Also, I feel like I can't remember our prediction score. I'm pretty sure we're even at the moment.
We're even.
Yeah, so before the tiebreakers, I'm like, you know, I'm casting with Parker. What, we're gonna end the first two at even? Someone has to win, and now we've got potentially at least 2 games, potentially even 3 games to determine who's able to, you know, get the crown of the first 2 predictions between us. So, how are we feeling about this first one?
I'm gonna need a
crack it open. I've already done it, unfortunately, and I think I spoke over you, so we didn't actually get to hear it, but that's okay.
That's all right. With the power of Mate by my side, I am predicting Ragdoll.
Thoughts behind that, real quick? We got a little bit of time.
Nope.
No,
nope.
What
Not
do you
giving
mean?
you any information.
Okay, well, I'm picking second. I'll speak a little bit more about it. I'll be nice to the viewers and everyone. I think Radiant have a way to be able to end this game super early off the back of their, you know, Templar Assassin DP and the Puck to make a lot of plays to get that space, taking Roshan, and then you can kind of look to end the game early. But I think at the later stages in this game of, it's going to be really rough to go against Nigma.SEA with their, I mean, you Conquer, Doom, Queen of Pain, but it's going to be heavily reliant on the Bane, Nyx, and the Queen of Pain to be able to make these plays, give space for the Conquer, and give space for the Doom. Conquer doesn't need as much space, but I feel like more importantly the Doom, because he's not the strongest laner. So am I going to edge towards Ragdoll as well? I'm going to go Nigma.SEA. You know what? Screw it. Let's do it. Let's make sure that at least after this game, someone will be leading our tally.
Good man. I just didn't want to give you any of the extra information that's, you know, stewing around in this coconut of mine.
Okay. Well, let's hear it now. Now that I've actually already chosen Dial, let's hear your thoughts on why you feel like Ragdoll is a little bit better lineup.
I think just Citrus is an incredibly highly skilled mid player. Of course, Alacrity is up there as well, but I feel like the communication is going to be there from Ragdoll because, in my opinion, you're not scared unless you don't see this Nyx Assassin. That is the one period where you need to be a little bit more wary. Outside of that, Citrus is just going to be pushing lanes. I know you said that Nigma.SEA, once it gets to that super late stage, they are this big threat that you need to be able to get past. Of course, Doom, one of the best late game heroes in the entire game. But outside of that, I mean, I personally would prefer having a Death Prophet that's going to be that fourth core. I would prefer having a Brewmaster with 2 ultimates. I would prefer having a TA because not only does it provide additional ways to be able to skirmish, but also you have that extra high ground potential with the Death Prophet and with the Templar Assassin. Hell, you can even just Primal Split and then just run your heroes at the enemy's backline, force them to pop BKBs early just so that they're not completely taken out of a team fight, and then just slowly siege. So I feel like Ragdoll, they're going to eventually be able to just break through the fortifications that Nigma.SEA have. And that's coming from an Nigma.SEA fan, by the way. I'm towards the start of the season, this is a team that they impressed a lot of people, particularly during the TI-10 regional qualifiers, you know, getting a lot deeper than a lot of other teams might have expected. They made a few fans. They always seem to be able to create some entertaining late game Dota. And so I think, regardless of the overall result, I'm hoping this series goes to 3 games because both these teams deserve to be at the front, at the focus of a lot of the world's attention.
The battle begins.
I feel like it would be a little bit devastating for us not to head to that third game as well. With how these teams have, the grind that has been the first tour, and making it all the way, seeing Polaris, just the success they've had, not dropping a series and then being able to be promoted into the Division 1 for next tour. And you want to be that second team. You want the reward and just the amazing feeling that comes with it. And now it's all down to the line here. What they've been waiting for to determine if they can finally be that second team to make it. What's the lane that we should be putting attention on? Is there one in particular you feel like we're going to have all the battles occurring?
I'd say mid. It's just going to be Citrus and Alacrity trying to see who's going to outtrade the other. Not a huge kill lane on either of the side ones. Like the Doom, of course, if he gets a single point in the Infernal Blade, the Scorched Earth, you have ways to get through those refraction charges. And TA, not the tankiest at the very start of the game. So you've got the potential, of course, to have some kills down on this bottom side. But I really like what Yurkam's doing, making sure that you are able to get those first few early levels, particularly important for a Doom, and there's no way for a Death Prophet to be able to stop you. It's not like you're coming up against a Bane with a Nightmare or any other hero with a stun that's going to stop you from this creep pool.
Yeah, it does feel like Death Prophet's going to do a lot in this lane. If it was just a head-to-head lane matchup without any of the pulling shenanigans, like 2 melee, and especially a strength hero on the Doom against the Spirit Siphon, feels like Menu Ping would have created a lot of space for the TA.
He always tends to do it. That's why they highly prioritize, first phasing. It's not quite first pick anymore that they're going for the Death Prophet, but still feeling incredibly confident with this hero. And why not? It's one of their signatures.
So another signature we see coming out as well with Alacrity on the Queen of Pain, Citrus on the Puck. We've seen the rise of the Queen of Pain so far. You were speaking a little bit about how the lane matchup is going to fare, and it looks like Citrus is having a really good start at the moment, 13-2 compared to the 8-2 on the Quad.
I mean, when you say, on their signature heroes, I would honestly say it's flipped, right? When I think mid lane, I think Citrus Quap and I think Alacrity Puck. Those are the two ones that really jump out to me. So both of these heroes, both of these players know what the matchup is going to look like. They know how the enemy team is going to be able to skill. And for now, Citrus is getting the better end of that.
Does one side have better supports that we could see rotations come out, maybe just to help secure some of the early water runes and power runes as well to help with the mid matchup?
I think it's a bit less impactful just because it's two heroes that have like a blink or a big mobility spell to be able to, converge in on a lane. I feel like as soon as you rotate someone, you open yourself up to being killed in the side lanes. And let's say a Nyx looks to rotate, sure, you might deny something away, but you don't have that kill potential. I mean, I'm just looking at Citrus now, the quick fingers, I'm sure his finger's constantly on that phase shift button, just waiting for Alacrity to potentially look to blink in onto him.
Yeah, both these position 2 is going to have a lot of playmaking potential once they're able to find that level 6. All the side lanes are going to be the target at the moment as we see the continuation of Yokam just looking to try and pull down bottom, but really nice cutoff from Menu Ping. You'll at least deny this thanks to the hard camp.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just enabling this TA to continue farming, right? That's the win condition for them. VT Faded is going to enable them to push up onto the high ground. And, I mean, it's pretty rare that you want to be looking to commit a lot of your spells onto a Death Prophet support, but I feel like that's the way that Nigma Galaxy.SEA are going to need to do this if they're going to be looking to deal with Menu Ping, because you can't just let a position 5 get Exorcism full cast for no reason.
Yokam might be in trouble, yeah. Here's our first blood as Menu Ping gets involved. He's got a little bit of damage to find the kill over Citrus, and there's those rotations we were kind of speaking about to show some importance to secure the runes.
Yeah, well, Ragdoll, they were playing 4D chess. They were like, oh, they're going to rotate because this lane's going so incredibly well for Citrus. We'll just rotate in turn. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to get the Spike Carapace off before the Waning Rift was used.
Alacrity hasn't even got a point in the dagger here in this lane, so looks like just with the potential phase shift dodge, Alacrity is like, all right, I'll just put a lot more emphasis into my screen, which will help with maybe taking some stacks and some rotations with that burst potential. But top lane, what's going on here, Polison? Got Nightmare to try and provide him a little bit of distance. It's a great way for In Your Dream to find the setup, but GY and Yif It's got a decent amount of resources to battle it off against Nigma.SEA's duo.
Yeah, good luck trying to, harass away in your dream on the Bane, though.
Yeah, he's got torn up in a couple seconds. GY's gonna run straight
Oh,
into it. In your dream, predicts the pathing. And we're gonna have our first kill for NGX up top.
Very nicely done. Yeah, a couple of braces there on the Bane. There's I keep saying Bane. Braces on the Kunkka. There's no way they're going to put any harass onto him. So the fact that they turned around, tried to whack him a couple of times, that was the extra 1 or 2 hits that Nigma.SEA needed to be able to pull that one through. So very nice play, realizing the strengths coming through from the NGX lineup. This mid lane just continues to go very well for Citrus. He's trading quite well. Of course, Ajit, he's getting a lot. Not Ajit. Alacrity, he's getting a lot as well out of the lane as they look to actually immediately deward the observer that's been put up there. So might be flagging a little bit of what Ragdoll looking to do, perhaps playing around some of this cart timing. Unfortunately, the siege creep had a mind of its own, so he moved its way towards the front of the lane, which means that he's taken a little bit of harass, but with Citrus clearing it out, you might get a decent amount of tower damage in here.
And we've already seen Menu Ping getting a little bit active and starting to block up the Ancients for the side of Nigma.SEA. Do you feel like Dai have to put just as much emphasis on that as well, considering against the Templar Assassin?
I'd say more, to be honest. TA, one of those heroes that's
bottom
just able
lane.
to farm.
We got a little battle breaking out as Yif's even going to rotate down too. Cam shouldn't end up dropping to the damage from VT Faded with one more damage from the side blade. It does leave GY vulnerable top. In your dream, level 6 available. He's already used the boat. That's how GY has been brought exceptionally low. So our second kill for the Conquer boss.
Who ended up getting the kill on the bot side? Okay, at least it was VT Faded, right? So in general, of course, trading a core for a support, not the greatest, but with this Templar Assassin, like I was saying before, your timing is pretty equivalent to what the Kunkka has. So if it was anyone else other than VT Faded that picked that one up, I would be like, oof, that's looking not too great. But at least he's going to continue to look to scale, going into that early Dragon Lance. Of course, great for being able to assist with the siege on top of the Exorcism. So that's the timing that I'm really looking for here. Around the 10-minute mark, when you've got those siege creeps going, pop the Exorcism, have the Dragon Lance, use the Puck and the Brewmaster ultis to be able to create space around that initial push, and just look to take out one of those first key towers. And if you can do that and then look to invade into the enemy triangle, maybe you can look to, or the enemy jungle rather, you can look to take some of those stacks away from them and just continue to snowball the lead that you might be building at the start of the game.
Do you feel like Dire are going to be able to combat this early tower push that comes out from the Death Prophet level 6, or are they just going to look to mirror the movement and trade off lane towers, or safe lane towers, I should say?
They don't have the greatest tower push. That's the big fault in Nigma.SEA's lineup right now. It needs to be the Kunkka just standing in there on the front lines doing that work for the majority of the time. But Kunkka is great at being able to stall out a lot of those pushes as well, right? You just X-mark yourself, walk in, Tiebringer a wave. They have no way to immediately punish that. And of course, he's gone that double bracer build. He's gone the phase boot super early on. And of course, sitting very well clear at the top of the net worth means that even if he gets caught out by something like the Dream Coil or the Hex, he should be just fine.
Bottom lane. We got our first Doom of the game. Quick and easy kill, apologies. I didn't see Alacrity having the double damage rune in the arsenal here, but with that Doom on cooldown, I think this is going to be a big signal now for Ragdoll to make a play on the opposite side of the map, and instantly Citrus going to look to combine with Yif, but like you were saying, I mean, in your dream, you 100%, you're not going up against that, man.
So a little bit, I mean, for me, Citrus, he's even staying a little bit too close to this lane as well. Highest priority right now, especially with that Doom on cooldown, is getting GY his level 6. There's been a couple of times where when he's been left on his own, he has been the focus of a little bit of a gank. If he had his level 6, he can look to pop that, get away, not continue to feed up that gold, but kind of the expectation that we're seeing here with the Death Prophet. You tank a Doom, obviously doing your job there, just because you want to kill on Mizu early on, you want to be able to scale. First Doom's not that important. But he's also sitting very well clear at the top of the supports in terms of net worth, and they're giving him a lot of space down here on the bottom side to make sure he hits that level 6 timing so that they can look to push together. Have a look at VT Faded as well. He's finished the Dragon Lance, he's got a Blightstone coming out to him, and definitely look to see them group up and start to push around this as we're about to hit 10 minutes. Tome of Knowledge, I'm assuming, is going to go to menu
Dire's
ping,
top tower
and
is
then
under
ball up and
attack.
push.
Well, Radiant, they're already looking to try and make that ball up play after the kill on Vayne top. It was doing whatever he can really just to dissuade them from getting this earlier tower, soaking up some experience. Bottom, and we got Mizu falling exceptionally low. They might turn it
Nearly
back.
killed him. Menu Pig nearly killed the off-lane Doom on his own, just with Spirit Siphon and chasing him down. That's how crazy it is. So the fact that they've been able to drag all the cores down here, big success, and you don't even need to use the TA or the Exorcism to take that first tower. So big win
Ooh.
coming through there from Ragdoll.
I reckon Radiant might be able to defend bottom. Coil on cooldown. If Menu Pink hits level 6 fast enough and GY TPs, but they're
They know
both
he's there,
lacking
though.
some amount. Yeah, here they come. The reinforcements are showing up. The multi-man silence. Menu Pink is wasting a lot of time as Ragdoll now. We'll see how they can play around with the primal split. They've already lost the Death Prophet, but Citrus jump in the backline. He's got to be cautious. The boat collapses on top of the core. They now have the Fiend script to lock in the puck. Yif's going to be the sacrifice as well, and they can turn their attention to GY as Nigma.SEA, how tanky they are with the Doom, with the Conquer. They're just able to stand their ground, invade deep underneath the T1 tower, and find a 4-1 trade.
Find the 4-1 trade, but VT Faded was doing a good job in that meantime. He wasn't doing what a lot of people in my pubs tend to do and just sit in the jungle when that sort of thing is happening. Instead, they take the mid tower, very effective trade, especially whenever you've got a TA, you always want to open up that Roche potential. So it's something that you can afford to use the Exorcism for as well. So Menu Ping eventually comes back down to the bottom side. He tanked up the Sonic Wave. But yeah, it was just a little bit of an overextension coming through from Citrus there. He didn't have the phase shift to be able to dodge the boat, and that was enough to lock him in place to allow that Fiend script to come off. He was only 5 seconds away from the Dream Coil as well. I feel like if they had that, they would have continued the push on forward. So despite the fact that it was a 4-for-1 trade, I think Ragdoll are still totally happy with how it turned out, with them being able to get that map control.
It definitely could have been a fight that was completely different as well, with maybe an extra 20 seconds of DP having the level 6, and like you were saying as well, if Puck was able to land that coil. So like you said, a fight that you can't really be too worried about for Ragdoll, considering what the Templar Assassin was able to get across the map. Finding this tier 1 mid gives you a lot more room to work through the map, and a lineup that wants to take an early Roshan really relies on these towers being brought down at a pretty rapid rate.
I think they're going to be looking for a pick-off inside this jungle here. Again, TA has been able to get a good amount of farm, only 900 gold away from her Desolator. So the smoke's going into the jungle. Nyx isn't the one that you want to find, though. So good positioning from Yokem. He's going to be able to tank up this gank. And I think if they were able to find a more important hero to kill, let's say the Queen of Pain, let's say the Doom, you would have needed to drop the Dream Coil for that as well, which Citrus even needed to do for a support. You could have just transitioned that into a Roche. But considering it was just a support, it's going to put them a little bit more on the back foot. But, you know, they'd hit all of their timings, so it was the right move to make. It was just a right understanding of the map state from Nigma.SEA and good positioning from their supports.
How do you feel like Dire are feeling at the moment with how uncontested the Templar Assassin has been? I know I brought up earlier that the question about are they going to look to maybe play around the Ancients and block up some of the camps. We haven't seen the priority on that so far, so do you feel like they're okay because of how much, you know, how farmed in your dream is to really combat the TA, or is it still something they probably could have looked at differently?
I think they're still okay with it, and it's
Hold
just
the
have a
thought,
look at
Citrus.
how they're moving.
Oh, nice save once again. We just see the comparison. Radiant, when their smoke maneuver, they only caught just a measly old support Nyx Assassin, and now for Dire, when they move as a smoke, they're able to find a much more valuable target in the puck.
Yeah, again, like that was one of those things that it was just a little bit unlucky. You know, it happens 2 seconds later. He's back up onto the high ground. You've got the team to be able to save potentially. And unfortunately just caught inside the river at that point in time. Means that he goes down. They still do hold that mid tier 1 tower though. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Ragdoll go for the exact same play that they just attempted. They've still got all their timings and they've hit this Desolator as well on VT Faded. So I wonder if he might even join in onto this smoke. Looks like that might be the plan. Put GY on the front lines. He's not needed for any kind of instant catch out onto a core.
Radiant are
They don't have any wards to connect to though, which is a big issue. So Nigma.SEA Looks like they're well aware of this eventual movement that was occurring. They're starting to back themselves up to their triangle where they can easily connect if need be. I think VT Faded also ran into Roche unsmoked.
Radiant's
They have
bottom
vision,
tower
though?
is under attack.
Yeah, I think...
They do.
Yeah. They're coming really slow though, and Roche is falling goddamn fast. You need an answer or some way to scout it out, but Roche is already gone. So Ragdoll, a free objective to claim, and that is huge for their lineup. They all rely on this early ages, especially a Templar Assassin.
Yeah, for sure. It's a big win for them. Of course, they were wanting more out of that with being able to catch out a hero and just, you know, seamlessly transition into Roche. BT Faded, he's playing around Jokem here on the top side, but it's not like they have any real easy way to connect in onto him with that tier 1 tower already being taken down. So he feels free to farm most likely this next wave, although...
I don't know.
Alacrity.
Yeah, he's disconnect. Okay, your cam's just like, yeah.
I wonder if it'll be scaring him off with that, with the Spike Carapace being popped. But yeah, right up until that point where the creeps are right now, that's the safe haven for him to be able to play. Quickly enough for the team to be able to join in onto him with the tier 1 tower still being alive. He can still rotate down and farm his Ancients. It's exactly where he wants to be for the next couple of minutes, at least until he picks up that Blink Dagger, and then we'll look to see another smoke come out from Ragdoll in that time.
I think if Radiant are able to take a fight pre-BKBs on Dire, then they are going to be in a position where they should be able to take it with the execution off the back of their ultimates. But I really do believe, though, if Dire can find the BKB on In Your Dream, which I think is coming out on the Courier now, along with Mizu, then they can definitely take a battle even though they're down the Aegis advantage.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it nullifies the effectiveness of the Dream Coil. That's how Ragdoll are wanting to start every single one of these fights. Sure, you're still going to have a good amount of damage coming through from the Death Prophet and the TA, of course, but yeah, it does make it a whole lot more challenging, especially these first few BKBs, right? 9 seconds is a lot of time to basically make a puck useless for that very start.
Double blink reveal. So Citrus and Yif gonna make sure they can try and at least prevent the Bane from getting rid of the ward. They're a little bit too late, unfortunately, so they won't have this kind of gotcha smoke maneuver where they're gonna catch Nigma.SEA off guard.
And they were walking around under a ward. They just dropped an observer right next to the dire one, so they know exactly where not to play around. You know, obviously being able to get rid of the ward is nice. Lots of gold, decent amount of experience for the supports, but that power of information and to not even need to use a sentry ward and just to know, all right, we need to avoid this area, that's a nice little win for themselves as well. Still though, they're getting a lot out of this this first Aegis. Blink Dagger now finished on VT Faded. Taking a tower as well. I mentioned before how important it is just to potentially have access to...
Oh, they got the vision. Dire, they're coming down. In Your Dream with the BKB. Mizu's going to look to TP as well, but GY gets a split off fast enough. An instant use of the BKBs early. They want to try and bring down the first life, and they'll be able to do so successfully. Now, where's the response from Ragdoll? They need some form of rebuttal, and it's going to come through afterwards. As Citrus, along with Menu Pin with the Exorcism, they'll burst down Alacrity. Now they can stand their ground, but off to the side. The Fiend's group controlling the Templar Assassin, but the damage it's lacking as Radiant will push Nigma.SEA back and further to their own T2 towers as they can't combine their abilities up perfectly. As Radiant, the first fight we're seeing come together with their ultimates and the advantage of the second life.
And now, well, there's not too much left on the Exorcism, but you got the creep wave right here. You've got that Desolator. At the very least, you're going to pop a glyph. I think Ragdoll are going to be super happy with that because it just enables them to now... They don't really want to play on this bottom side of the map. You know, maybe they could have looked to take this this Ancients away. Yip's going to inadvertently actually end up stacking it for... oh no, they've blocked it anyway, so... Yep, they'll take the triangle away from Nigma.SEA. Big deal whenever you're doing that against the Dire side. And now they'll just play on the left side of the map. I honestly don't expect them to see them go anywhere to the right of where the Radiant Tier 1 tower was at all.
Some momentum now, favoring the boys on Ragdoll. I mean, a big net worth swing where you get closer to those next set of items. GY is about to have 3 components completed with the Aghanims. The Templar Assassin as well is already starting to make his way towards the Lincolns with 2,100 gold in the bank.
Yep, really liking the itemization coming out from Ragdoll. Again, you've got Menu Ping, he's got a Yule Scepter. He is very farmed right now for a position 5. I mean, the ideal scenario for him is wait until he's level 12, just for that doubling of damage of the exorcism. But I mean, you don't want to play around a position 5's timings, to be completely honest. It's just whenever they're feeling confident to go on Citrus, I think they're just going to be looking to make a move. Maybe just wanting to wait for that Finger of Death to be available on the Lion.
Do you maybe try and give him his level 12 before you look for a play? Because, I mean, you got 40-second cooldown on the Finger of Death, and if Yif can get a free lane to find that experience, it might take quite some time, because he's still needing about, what, 2/3?
I don't think they've claimed their Tome of Knowledge yet, though, on their side, so that's definitely something that could bring either him or the Death Prophet up to that next key timing. So yeah, I always am a big fan of just hitting that level 2 ultimate. It's such a huge spike for both of these heroes, and yeah, look at this, taking advantage of the 20-minute siege creeps, and we know there's no glyph, but this time around you don't have an Aegis to protect yourself, so
And
that's the big difference.
Radiant's
That might be the price, because they're coming outside. They got the Radiant, so they got the daytime advantage, so they're well aware of how Ragdoll are posturing. But they don't really have the greatest way to start the fights without the blink, and yeah, Radiant, they're going to look to smoke as well, instantly getting popped. Citrus is going to blink down to the low ground. They're a bit disconnected as Menu Ping is caught out in the lane. In Your Dream, trying to start the fight, but he's off the mark, and now they've jumped in. Looking to get rid of the Bane factor, which they'll be able to do so instantaneously, and now they can kite the Conquer too. Ragdoll, a great way to start this team fight, but they've still got to be cautious. The BKBs is In Your Dream. We'll turn it back around. Drops the combination to get rid of Menu Ping, so they've got no Xism for this team fight. But that might be all she wrote. A 1-for-1, both position 5s are going to be claimed.
Yeah, if Menu Ping's able to survive there, I mean, unfortunate for Ragdoll that VT Faded was farming around their triangle at the time. He did make his way there as quickly as possible. He's also picked up the the BKB, which is going to be very effective for him. I kind of prefer the Lincoln Sphere, but I suppose you're coming up against a Bane where Enfeeble is such a big cast range that you're just going to be able to get the Fiend's Grip off immediately afterwards. But yeah, if he was just that little bit closer, as soon as the Bane goes down, you feel so much more enabled to be able to take these team fights. And, well, another key timing that isn't immediately observable is now up for Alacrity. It's 20 minutes, so he's picked up that Aghanim Shard, able to very quickly push out a lot of these waves. You don't have to reveal yourself for too often, and they don't even have the strongest pick.
Mizu might be in trouble down bottom. Yeah, Yiv's gonna lead the charge, and even the Xism committed as well. There's nothing In Your Dream can do to provide some assistance. In fact, maybe he too has overstepped the boundaries as VT Faded. They really want to force out this BKB. They haven't TP'd down yet. And there we go. The BKB TP out from In Your Dream, because meanwhile, middle lane, it's going to be the rest of Nigma.SEA catching out the Brewmaster without anyone nearby.
I think you're still cool with that. You kill the Doom. He's much more important. I mean, he still needs to wait for that second use of the Primal Split to come. He's already finished up the Ags. You've taken a tier 2 tower, but I mean, do they have the catch? That's the big thing, right? Like, you had to use the Fiend's Grip there to be able to take that team fight. Conquer used the BKB previously, and there's no tower to TP to. So I don't think they're going to be able to catch out anyone.
Ooh, Yokam's got yours. He should catch up to 1, but I guess it's if the rest can catch up. Polo probably won't be able to. Alacrity, if he blinks in, is going to be a bit risky into Yif and VT Fade. If they get 1 stun, then he might just get bursted down, considering he doesn't have the greatest armor. I mean, we see the itemization after the BKB starting to work on the Shivas, just for the issue of the physical damage from the Death Prophet and the Templar Assassin. But, you know, let's see if Nigma.SEA can connect down bottom.
Ooh. It's tense. I mean, this is what we came to expect, right? Tiebreakers. It's only a 1K difference at the moment in terms of the net worth, and we wouldn't expect it to go any other way with teams as close as these two. And I think, and I agree with your point with where you were going with the predictions, that if it does get super late, there is, of course, the Nigma.SEA effect, where, you know, you've got the refresher on the Doom, and he becomes obviously twice as effective. But the big thing for mine is this next assassin. You know, you park yourself up there on that high ground in a little bit of a sneaky spot, and you can delay this push so much. And you do also have that ability to get that ranged lockdown onto someone like the Death Prophet and make it so that you're not playing with that additional core. You burst down the Exorcism, and a big part of Ragdoll's damage is taken away.
They jump the DP. Looks like Menu Pink Polar's even look for an extra +1, but he's run into the wrong neighborhood. So once again, another trade in position 5s. I know you were just mentioning again about that late game prowess from Nigma.SEA, but who has to be more comfortable through this mid game? It's such an even slate. We've got 13 to 11 kill count, just under a 1,000 net worth lead.
Sorry, ask that again. For whatever reason, when the unpause was happening, at 1 second, my game just crashed. So ask one more time.
I was just asking, who do you feel like is going to be the more powerful team throughout the mid game? Because of how even it is at the moment, is there a lineup that should be hitting their spikes a little bit faster?
I think it's going to be one of those roller coaster back and forth games, right? Like, obviously now they're feeling very confident on Ragdoll. They had to use still a couple of those key ultimates to be able to get that pick off onto the Death Prophet. But with that, it means they just opened up this second Roche. Very happy, of course, to be able to claim this one for Ragdoll. I want to see VT Faded be the one to pick up this Aghanim Shard as well. It's just another one of those ways to be able to get in onto the... actually, who ended up taking it?
Did Citrus snag it? VT Faded still holding at the moment.
Okay, yeah, definitely want to see him because you want to just have that easy interrupt for the Fiend's Grip, right? Most of the time, you're the one that's going to be getting caught out, but if it's anyone else, it kind of forces you to go onto the TA with this, right? Because it's going to be immediately nullified otherwise.
Yo, Cam. I'm going to try and provide them some information on how they can mount their defense top. But Ragdoll, Scan, and even everyone coming over just to prevent the Pug from getting inside the vicinity. So another free tier 2 tower claim. Ragdoll getting a lot of these easy objectives without any contestation.
Easy objectives. They also take away the outpost just before the 25-minute mark. So the experience is going to skew a little bit more in Ragdoll's favor as well. You've also got this siege creep wave, 25 minutes, so they're going to be looking to push around that. They've waited long enough that their big ultimates have come off cooldown, and yeah, they can just look to ball up around this siege creep. Level 13 on the DP, who's going into a BKB of her own.
They might just jump Yokam instantaneously, and they will. They'll blow up the death, and now Mizu even going to look to follow up as well, but GY's already got the primal split off before the use of the Doom. A 1-for-1 trade, but Dire, they've got the buyback advantage if they can TP into the fight. Nick's going to provide that assistance, but they've locked down the Queen of Pain. Alacrity needs some assistance, is able to get the blink out to safety. Now Mizu's in! He gets the Doom before the second use of the split, and now Nigma.SEA should be able to take this team fight successfully as Radiant, unable to use that follow-up ultimate.
Very nicely done. I thought it was nice patience coming through from Menu Ping, obviously just not wanting to be the target of that initial use of the Doom. So he was standing behind the towers, not wanting to be the first one caught out and still have a good amount of effectiveness, but maybe just a tiny bit too greedy with all of those movements there because it allowed the next assassin to be able to rotate into place. If you've got that tower pressure going and that constant pressure, you kind of need to rotate onto the Death Prophet instead.
VT Faded. BKB for Polison. Unable to play around with the Nightmare tricks. And now the Nyx Assassin as well is the next on the list.
Had you but eyes to see it.
Careful though, no BKB. I suppose they don't really have any big ultimates available right now for Nigma.SEA, but I mean, they really do want to pop that glyph though on this tower at the bare minimum.
And they're coming directly back to mid. Ragdoll recognize that these ultimates are still on cooldown, and we got Aegis, Coil, along with Split to take a fight with.
It's such a big difference, right? As soon as you get that Aghanim Scepter, you're not so bound by the, oh, we've got a draft that's so cooldown dependent, you know? And actually, Mizu, he walked over a TA trap here inside the Radiant Triangle.
He's got to be quick with the fingers. He is. Gif. Hexes, unfortunately, the Ancients, and VT Faded with the help of the plate mail. That extra armor should be enough to TP out. We see the recognition on Nigma.SEA on how important armor is going to be this game. In your Drees already got the AC, even got a Sanjin Yasha queued up, which is interesting, but Radiant, they're looking to instantly hit back towards the tier 2 tower with the early use of the coil. McConker's not an easy kill by any stretch of the imagination, as in your dream. He'll get an opportunity to pop the BKB and retreat to the safety behind the tier 2. Even forced out to use the run buff just to try and keep the Bane alive. They're waiting the wings on the Doom, but Mizu still without the ultimate really to jump in. They're trying to see if Ragdoll makes one misstep to penalize him, but the caution is the name of the game here from Radiant.
Dire's
Yeah, I
middle
wonder if they're going to
tower is
continue to
under
push
attack.
forward. You've got 70 seconds left on the Aegis, 50 seconds on the Dream Coil cooldown, but maybe just realizing... I just want to see the movement, because Doom just came off cooldown right now. I was wondering maybe if they would look to...
He faded.
back up just when they became available.
Let's wait from Citrus. Just going to disrupt them so they can't follow up with the torrent combo. So, faded's out. They got 45 seconds on Aegis. We'll probably see a reset, although Dire... They've got information of this, a really deep ward, and at the remnants of their tier 1 tower mid. It's going to see them retreating out, but even Radiant, their vision with the traps and their own ward placement is exceptional. They're well aware of this movement.
I didn't quite see in terms of the pings if they were aware of the ward combination being put down here in the mid lane for themselves on Nigma.SEA. I mean, in your dream, of course, you had to move into the lane to kill the creeps there, but yeah, it is going to be a bit of an issue if they smoke up, you know, next to these wards thinking, oh, we're safe. They don't have any kind of vision here and might get caught out as a result of it.
I think, like we were kind of bringing up a little bit before about the TA traps, but this is another really undervalued thing about just the extra, 4 trap count and the vision that it's able to provide you, because of how important this game is on initiation, who gets the jump, whether it's the Lion, you know, Puck and TA being able to burst a hero down, whether it's Dire landing that Doom, you know, probably blowing up the Brewmaster before he gets the split off. So it all comes down to the jump and the vision, as Citrus is going to look to play around with that. GY is not messing around. If he gets any opportunity to pop the split defensively, he'll do so. But it's a heavy commitment for the teamfight ultimates. It's in your dream. Just a BKB TP out. He'll make sure there's no way to get the kill, even popping the ultimate. They're still continuing to chase deeper and deeper in the lane as Yokam gonna be cycloned up in the air. He's got the Spike Carapace to at least deter them for a little bit, but Ragdoll, they can go through it afterwards with VT Faded's damage.
Nicely done. They don't have creeps, though, to be able to connect through and actually push up onto this high ground. So, Nigma.SEA, they're going to be breathing a sigh of relief because no Dream Coil was used and you used the BKBs on both the Kunkka and the Doom. I feel like if you're ever in that sort of situation on Ragdoll, it's just got to be go time because you can very easily kite around their heroes, especially with all the supplementary ultimates that you've got. They're just making themselves harder and harder to kill. That is the MO coming out from Ragdoll. And Aeon Disc on a Puck is what's being queued up. Same sort of thing with the Lion. DP is very close to getting her own BKB. You've, of course, got 2 Primal Split ultimates on GY. It's very difficult to take out any of these heroes, and it is punishing the fact that, you know, it's not like something like Alina, for example, that's able to deal that consistent damage in a team fight. They're very burst-oriented, particularly with this Queen of Pain.
Now they're going to have to go up against the gem as well from Ragdoll. We were just speaking about the vision before. The map's going to continue to shrink and get even more difficult to find ways to initiate these fights. So I think in particular for Nigma.SEA, you have to just almost haul yourself up in some high ground area where you're guaranteed to keep those wards and protect it as best as possible. Now, I'm intrigued about this. I brought it up a little bit before when I saw In Your Dream queue up the Sanjin Yasha. Why do you feel like he's gone back for this really later on in this game?
I guess just wanting to protect himself in the situation where he is caught out by that initial lockdown, whether it be the Lion grabbing him or the Brewmaster being able to toss him up into the air. He just doesn't want to be completely removed from the fight because, again, they have no real way to purge that as of right now. So we'll see how effective it is because he's going into the Satanic, and of course with the HP regen and lifesteal amplification that the SMY provides you, it's going to be pretty damn effective. I wonder if it might have been better. Like, I know he is your position 1. He is, I guess, your win condition. But would a Halberd have been a better option just against this TA in particular?
I think you definitely could have considered the Doom going that route if Doom actually had a... he's looking good in net worth, but we've seen Mizu... It's not the Doom performance where you're top of the net worth and you've got all this farm to kind of counter the position 1 carry. They've kind of done with how they've itemized in armor, but yeah, definitely a consideration that could have been there. I think it's just like the Sanjin Yasha, let's tank up. Like you said, if I get jumped, I should be able to survive, get BKB, get bowed off, and then enable maybe my team to fly on over with Doom, with Sonic Wave, and just turn it back around. That kind of seems they're playing off the back of just tank, tank, tank. Is Dire and Radiant. Smoke on smoke. A long wraparound play as the line is drawn.
And is he relying on those quick fingers there? He's going to be the one to put himself there on the front lines. They'll see the Midas that's been taken out. Yeah, there's very few things that I think Ragdoll have done wrong this game. You know, a lot of their movements have been right, and it's just come down to the execution coming through here. There was one there where they double smoked, actually, just before, so it's rid of a lot of that gotcha potential. Probably the only other thing that I would really want to see change from them is Menu Ping. He's still holding onto this Philosopher's Stone. He's got his BKB. Like, this is as good as you really want to get as the DP. I feel like have him hold the Ring of Aquila and have the Brewmaster have that Titan Sliver just so you're more able to get off that ultimate.
All right, let's see if this catches them off guard as well. Nigma.SEA, this time they're not going to let Roche go for free, and they've got Yokem already burrowed in the area.
Still do have one smoke on Ragdoll. Menu Ping's holding on to it right now, so and they give it over to Yip.
There's an Arcane bottom. This is actually going to be really big for this fight if Citrus can get it, and he can.
What's the map looking like right now for Nigma.SEA? They have no vision on the Radiant side of the map. To be fair, it is the same sort of thing, just flipped for Ragdoll.
Radiant, they're smoked up. Is it going to pop? Yeah, Citrus. Smoke pops. They know someone's there. Are they going to guess correctly that Yokem's got the Aghanims already? Citrus has got the gem. You kind of have to run to protect Yokem if they get jumped. How do they start? Miz is going to lead. What a stun from Yokem onto 2. The burst is going to fly out from Alacrity. Oh, it's a support factor setting up the fight to burst down 2. But how can they reposition themselves afterwards as Miz is the target? They'll bring him down thanks to VT Fated jumping the middle. The boat's a little bit too late to at least control up anyone as Alacrity now has to be cautious. He's already used the BKB and he's going to be melted through. They're still taking the fight at the mouth of the pit. In your dream, Nyx standing hand in hand. They get the Fiend's Grip up before the second use of the split. They need a burst GY down. They're just able to get rid of him. But they don't have the buyback on extra heroes on Dire to get back in the area and retake this team fight as Ragdoll will blow up 4. They've now got firm control of the area. They're also looking to chase down Alacrity too. A follow-up science is on point. Yif is going to jump in as well. He just brought back and now he's back in the grave.
I've got an order of copium coming to your doorstep right now, Eric.
I mean, look at Puck's already bottom. My oh my. I mean, that fight started so well for Dire.
It did. You couldn't have asked more from an Assassin to be able to provide great positioning, be able to pop smokes. They played around. There's a courier sitting on top of the refresher shard in the Roche pit, by the way. There we go. They're eventually going to get it. But yeah, it's just this overwhelming power of all these timings that they've been able to build up, and you can't kill this many people, right? Bane is very single target focus. Yokem that time, he was able to get 2 people with the initial stunt, which was great. But again, this Doom, until you get the refresher orb, single target, it's not going to do all that much.
2 full sets of barracks advantage now for Ragdoll. They're going to look for the 3rd up top. Their previous...
They've got everything back up again, except for the Exorcism.
He's going to jump. Menu Ping, he's got BKB, Yules to work with the position. 5, Yokem is burrowed up. So difficult to go through, but the space, mainly it's just these objectives being sieged for free, and there's no contestation at the moment because of GY. VT Faded, looking for the Nyx Assassin kill, but Yules will give him some time. Queen of Pain's back up in 20 seconds, but it might be a little bit too long. And how do you get the jump here on Dire? You've wasted a couple of splits now from the Brew. Doesn't have any remaining afterwards. It's going to look to refresh. They give him the shard. Mega Creeps now on the cards. It's Nigma.SEA. We've always been giving them the props on how they can execute and come back in games later and later, but I mean, Mega Creeps is just a different beast.
For sure, and they don't have the best heroes to deal with it. You know, like I mentioned during the draft, when I see this Nyx and I see this Bane, I don't think, oh, I'm going to be able to to deal with any kind of creeps pushing up into me. And, you know, With the second Roche, I was highlighting the Aghanim Shard for the Templar Assassin. Have a look at Bane's quick buy. He's forced to get a BKB just so that an Aghanim Shard isn't cancelling out his big team fight ultimate. I really like everything about how Ragdoll have done this game, from the draft to how they've rotated,
Radiant,
played around the...
they're a bit split at the moment. They're able to pop
Alright,
the
that's a big
Lincolns on
shot.
Brumar, so that's a really valuable target to get rid of. Meanwhile, we see the Bane brought down to the northern side, but they're still going to push on forward as more as Alacrity blinking to the river to try and take away the double damage room, but that's not worth it as you lose your life. You don't have buyback, and Radiant now can overwhelm the side of Dire. The Doom's the target. He's unable to provide anything without the ultimate, and in your dream, the lonesome person to stand his ground, but it looks like it'll be Ragdoll that can just melt through the heroes. Beyond godlike on VT Faded. Couple of buybacks remaining, but that is all she wrote as the boys on Radiant will take game one.
Ragdoll have done it. I mean, in my eyes, you just don't give Menu Ping the death prophet. Like, I feel like Spirit Breaker isn't something that I'm all that concerned about whenever I see Ragdoll. DP just changes everything about how they're able to play this game, right? Like, it's a comfort hero. You're very difficult to kill. It's a counter to the Bane. I don't know. It felt like the issues came from the very beginning and they weren't able to deal with any kind of situation other than dominating their lanes, which they didn't. It came out pretty even towards the start, and you weren't able to stop VT Faded from farming a lot of these stacks, even though you were on the Radiant side as opposed to the Dire. So really well executed. Very few flaws that I could find in Ragdoll's gameplay, movement, team fight selection. It was a 9 out of 10 for me. Very nicely done.
9 out of 10. That's not too bad. You take a 9 out of 10. I didn't even know at the end of the game Citrus had a rapier, so I don't know when he picked that one up, but unless it was NGX that tried to go for some desperation play. But but on your point about the Death Prophet real quick before we do head into a break, I wonder if Nigma.SEA were just like, we beat Ragdoll twice with their strategy. They got the Weaver and Death Prophet in the Week 5 series, and maybe they were just confident that they could still take them against their own strategy. And like you were saying, though, how the DP was able to answer the Bane, how they were able to convert these early objectives. I felt like there were way too many that went for free. I think both first Roche and second Roche were uncontested, and we didn't see NGX get nearby to maybe make a play. But, I mean, what a start for Ragdoll. To come back, knowing that you dropped your last series 2-0, there might be some hesitancy, but you've come back, you've got an opportunity, and now you take game one.
I think the big thing there was you didn't have a hero like Mizu. He's a good Doom player, right? But you didn't have this ability to have AoE lockdown, and they did not have a single BKB on Ragdoll outside of the TA. He backpacked his once he got the last Aegis there, but that is how confident they were feeling. They were like, look, we have the potential of being... we don't want to really be standing and fighting that consistently. We just want to make sure that we're not getting caught out by these big ultimates. The Doom, the Fiend's Grip, the Queen of Pain with the big Sonic Wave Scream of Pain. That's what they wanted to avoid, and they itemized very well for it. Aeon Discs, Lincoln Spheres, everything single target. So what I want to see come through from Nigma.SEA is a draft that isn't as easily able to be countered by an item like a Lincoln Sphere. I want to see AoE control because, I mean, we saw the one really successful fight was on the back of Yokam hitting multiple heroes. I want to see the same sort of thing from Nigma.SEA from some of their other heroes as well in game number 2.
Yeah, well, for the boys of Ragdoll, momentum heading into our second game, the tiebreaker promotion series to determine who will be that second team to follow Polaris into Division 1 for our second tour. We'll see you guys shortly after a break.